While my sister was flaunting my old room on TikTok as her luxury closet, I was sleeping in a shelter after fleeing my abusive husband. She said I was too filthy to be around her kids. Yesterday, I bought her house in cash under a stranger's name. She just got the eviction notice. I'm Denise, and 2 years ago, my sister told me I was too disgusting to be around her kids. Today, I legally evicted her from the house she used to brag about on TikTok, the same one I quietly bought under a shell name. Revenge didn't come with fireworks. It came in a manila envelope and complete silence. I was 39 when I ran. 13 years of marriage to Brent had slowly eroded who I was. You don't wake up one day and realize you're in an abusive relationship. It creeps in. First, it was small comments. Then isolation. Then the shoving started. Then the slaps. Then locking me in rooms during arguments. The worst was the night I had a bruise on my jaw and had to call in sick to work because I couldn't hide it. By then, my parents were gone. Mom had passed from ovarian cancer, and Dad followed within a year from a stroke. It was just me and my sister, Lara. Lara, who was always the golden one. The loud, glittery, social media perfect sister. The one who got pregnant at 22 and somehow made it look like an empowering brand. She married Travis, a guy who never really worked but managed to look rich online. Together, they built an audience on TikTok and Instagram selling the dream of suburban perfection, marble countertops, matching pajamas, curated pantry shelves. They had 3 kids. All blonde, all dressed in beige. The algorithm loved them. Me? I was the depressed one. The married the wrong guy sister. The ghost in the background. When I finally left Brent, I had $7,800 in cash tucked in a box of tampons under my bathroom sink. I'd spent 6 months planning my exit, collecting documents, stashing away grocery money, scanning everything I could get my hands on. I left while he was away on a business trip. Took a Greyhound from Sacramento to Redding and stayed in a domestic violence shelter. I didn't tell Lara. I hadn't spoken to her much in years, aside from fake Merry Christmas texts and the occasional birthday emoji. But when she found out, from mutual friends, I got a single message from her: "Don't bring your problems here. I have kids. You look like a crackhead. Stay away." That one stuck. You look like a crackhead. It wasn't a concern. It wasn't even fear. It was disgusting. I had shown up at a friend's apartment a week earlier, skinny from stress, hair in knots, skin covered in healing bruises. I wasn't well, but I was free. And she looked at that and saw filth. 3 months later, a friend texted me a link. It was Lara's TikTok. She was showing off her closet transformation. The video was everywhere. She turned her spare room into a luxury walk-in closet, complete with a chandelier, built-in shelves, velvet seating, and a damn coffee station. It was my old bedroom. The one I used to hide in when our parents fought. The one I studied in, cried in, dreamed in. It had my initials still carved into the closet door frame, which she conveniently covered with a gold mirror. She stood there with a glass of wine and said, "This used to be our junk room, but I wanted something that made me feel powerful." I watched that video from the back corner of the shelter's community room, headphones in, my battered flip phone overheating in my hand. I hadn't eaten properly in 2 days, and there she was, turning my past into an accessory. I don't know when the idea first started. But something inside me shifted. I wasn't angry in a screaming, throw something kind of way. It was quieter. Focused. I didn't want an apology. I didn't even want her to know how bad things had gotten. I just wanted balance. A reset. So I started working. Obsessively. I found a job cleaning apartments, gross, but decent pay. Then another at a diner bussing tables. I moved out of the shelter into a shared room in a house with 3 other women. No privacy, but the rent was dirt cheap. I ate ramen. Took every shift I could. Walked to work. Cut my own hair. Learned about real estate on YouTube every night before bed. I had a spreadsheet on an old laptop where I tracked every cent. I opened a savings account under a different name, Yvonne Bell. Not a fake identity, but a registered LLC with no paper trail to me. One of the women I lived with, Marcia, a former paralegal, helped me set it up. "Are you serious about this?" she asked one night, eyeing my printouts. "I want to buy a house," I said. "One specific house." When I told her which one, she didn't even flinch. Just said, "We'll need a good broker." For 2 years, I kept working. I built up my credit. Yvonne Bell LLC had its own bank account, P.O. box, and digital signature. I did taxes for it, filed receipts, everything. Lara kept posting. The closet video reached 800,000 views. She went on podcasts. Did brand deals. Posted Instagram Q&As like, "How do you afford this lifestyle?" Answer, "Hard work and good taste." But behind the scenes, I was watching. Property taxes were unpaid. Her husband's credit was tanking. There was a lien on the property from an old business loan he defaulted on. The house, our childhood home, now hers, was quietly slipping into distress. I made a cash offer through Alan, a broker Marcia connected me to. The house had been listed briefly as off-market, meaning they were trying to sell quietly. I offered slightly over asking, all cash, no inspections. Under the name of Yvonne Bell, of course. They accepted within a week. They had no idea who was behind the LLC. Why would they? Lara never looked beyond the surface of anything. I think she believed some investor wanted to flip it. She probably figured they'd rent somewhere nicer. Maybe even leverage the eviction for sympathy. But it wasn't just a property deal to me. It was my room. My home. My memories. When the official eviction notice was served, she posted again. Crying in her car, smudged mascara, saying, "I don't know why this is happening. Some evil person bought our house and is forcing us out. We have nowhere to go. This is disgusting. Whoever you are, congratulations. You've ruined a family." The comments weren't as kind this time. People had noticed the expensive handbags. The luxury closet. The sponsored posts. They weren't buying the victim act. I watched quietly. I didn't respond. I didn't gloat. I just waited for the house to be empty. 2 weeks later, it was. When I walked inside with Alan, it was eerily silent. They hadn't even bothered to clean. The closet was empty except for a single champagne glass on the vanity. A smear of red lipstick on the rim. I stood in the middle of my old room, now stripped bare, and took a breath. The walls still had the faint lines of my childhood glow-in-the-dark stars. They'd just painted over them. "You want to renovate?" Alan asked, holding a clipboard. "No," I said. "I'm turning it into a rental. For women." He raised an eyebrow. "Single moms. Women leaving bad marriages. Short-term leases. Low rent. Safe neighborhood." He nodded. "I like that." We locked up. I changed the locks. And for the first time in over a decade, I slept in my own bed. Not a shelter mattress, not a stranger's couch. Mine. Lara never knew. Or maybe she did. Maybe she connected the dots eventually. She hasn't said a word. Not to me, not to anyone who would report back. Her social media's gone private now. I didn't do this to humiliate her. I did it to take something back. My power. My story. My space. You know what they say, revenge is a dish best served in escrow. I didn't expect peace to settle in right away. Trauma doesn't just pack up and leave when the locks change. But there was a stillness, a sense of reclaiming something long buried. I hadn't known how heavy it felt to be rootless until the first night I stood barefoot in the living room, holding a mug of tea, looking out the same window my dad used to shovel snow from. That house held scars, sure. But it also remembered who I was before life happened to me. Over the next few weeks, I got to work. I didn't have much money left after the purchase, but I made do. Paint rollers, second-hand furniture, a power washer from a pawn shop. I did most of it myself, ripping up the leftover vinyl flooring in what used to be Lara's master bedroom, scrubbing grime from the kitchen tile grout until my knuckles bled. It was strangely therapeutic, removing pieces of her. Every designer accent pillow, every fake eucalyptus stem, every gold decal that screamed boss babe, I bagged them up and donated the whole lot to a thrift store in Midtown. I didn't tell anyone it was my house, at least not at first. I used Yvonne Bell, LLC to put up a quiet rental listing. Private room with shared kitchen, the ad read. Female tenants only. Low-income applicants are welcome. Background check required. Within 48 hours, I had more responses than I could manage. It was humbling. Women from all walks of life, waitresses, grad students, recently divorced mothers, reaching out with messages that looked frighteningly like the ones I could have written just a couple of years ago. One of the first I met was Sonia, 32, mom of two, who just left a man who'd left her stranded at a gas station with a cracked windshield and two sleeping kids in the back seat. She cried when I told her she could move in with no deposit and could pay half rent for the first 2 months. "I don't even have a bed for the boys," she said. "I do," I replied. "Because I had 2 twin frames in the garage. From when Lara's kids stayed over and treated the house like it was an Airbnb. She'd left them behind, along with 3 unopened boxes of luxury candles, a broken treadmill, and what looked like a prop for a cooking show, some kind of wooden 'bless this mess' sign. I tossed that straight into the trash. Sonia moved into the old master bedroom. Then came Renee, fresh off a bad breakup with a guy who drained her savings account and pawned her MacBook. She took the smaller room, the one Lara had turned into a content creation nook. It still had the ring light mount drilled into the wall. I took the third room. I slept on a simple mattress with thrifted sheets and no headboard. It felt good. Uncomplicated. Like breathing clean air. I didn't tell Sonia or Renee who I really was, not at first. I just said I worked in admin and managed a few properties. Which wasn't exactly a lie. But I wasn't ready to tell the whole truth. Not yet. Meanwhile, Lara had gone quiet. It was eerie, the sudden silence from someone who used to overshare everything. No new videos. No curated photo dumps. No more home tours, #MomLife Reels, or Sunday Reset content. Travis's account disappeared entirely. I heard through a cousin that they were living in a rental in Carmichael, and their third car got repossessed. Apparently she tried to get into MLMs for a while, essential oils, leggings, even one of those vitamin patch things. Nothing stuck. I wasn't celebrating. Not exactly. But there was a sense of rightness to it. Not schadenfreude, just balance. I wasn't doing better to spite her. I was doing better to remind myself that I could. And then, one Thursday morning, I saw her again. I was dropping off an application at a nonprofit housing office downtown, trying to get listed as an approved transitional home provider, when I turned a corner in the parking garage and there she was. Hair tied up. Dark circles under her eyes. Pushing a stroller that looked way cheaper than anything she used to show off online. She didn't see me. Or maybe she did and pretended not to. I stood there behind a concrete pillar, frozen for a second too long. And just like that, the old panic crept in. The memory of her telling me I looked too filthy to be around her kids. The smirk she wore the day she called me toxic on a family Zoom call. The TikTok video of her standing in my old bedroom with a wine glass, laughing, calling it her closet kingdom. And now, she looked small. Humans. Worn. I didn't say anything. Just turned and walked the other way. That night, I cleaned the kitchen while Sonia's boys played with Lego in the corner. They were loud, messy, full of life. It felt like a home again. I watched them build towers and knock them over and squeal with delight. Their laughter echoed through the same hallway where Lara once posted a closet tour in heels she probably never wore more than once. And that's when it hit me, how far I'd come. I didn't need revenge to be loud. It didn't need to go viral. It didn't need to be filmed. It just needed to exist. But the story wasn't over. Because a few days later, Lara showed up at the door. Not a knock. Not a phone call. Just a message slipped into the mailbox, handwritten on lined paper. I wasn't expecting anything. I was sipping lukewarm tea at the kitchen table, sorting through utility bills and low-income assistance paperwork when I saw it. A folded piece of paper, tucked inside the mailbox between a grocery flyer and an overdue notice from the city about gutter repairs. No envelope. No return address. The handwriting was unmistakable. Lara always had that big, bubbly cursive from her high school planner days. She used to dot her I's with little loops instead of circles. Even the way she wrote the D in my name, I knew it before I even opened it. It wasn't long. Just a few sentences. I know it was you. I don't know how you did it. I don't know why. But if this is what makes you feel better, congrats. You won. I hope you're proud. No signature. No apology. Just that brittle, passive-aggressive tone I'd come to associate with every interaction we'd had in our adult lives. I sat down with the note in my hand, heart weirdly steady. I'd imagined this moment 1,000 different ways over the last 2 years. Sometimes she'd come crying, begging forgiveness. Sometimes she'd show up furious, accusing me. I thought I'd feel something when it finally happened. But mostly, I just felt tired. It wasn't that I didn't care. It was that I didn't care like I used to. I wasn't sitting in a shelter anymore, hungry and scared, wondering why the only person left in my life thought I was filth. I wasn't watching her flaunt a room she never earned while I healed bruises alone. I was home. My home. I slipped the note into a drawer and went about my day. Fed the chickens in the backyard. I'd inherited 2 hens from the neighbor who moved. Checked on the slow-draining bathtub upstairs. Called a plumber. By dinner, I had almost forgotten about it. But Laura wasn't done. 3 days later, she showed up in person. I had just come back from dropping Renee off at the DMV. Her ex had left her car registration expired for 2 years, and was hauling in a bag of groceries when I heard a car door slam behind me. I turned, and there she was. Standing on the curb, arms crossed, sunglasses on despite the overcast sky. The same posture she used to use in middle school when she got caught lying. "Seriously?" she said, gesturing at the house like it was radioactive. "You bought this? Are you kidding me?" I said nothing at first. Just opened the trunk and pulled out a sack of potatoes. Denise. Still quiet. "You could have said something. You could have, I don't know, called instead of turning my life upside down like this." She was wearing a cheap knockoff version of one of her designer coats. The seam was fraying at the hem. Her roots were showing. "Do you want something?" I asked finally, meeting her eyes. "You stole my home." I laughed. I don't know why. It just came out, dry and hollow. "I bought it." "You knew it was mine. You knew it used to be mine." "That room was mine before it was ever yours," I cut in. The street was quiet. No cars. Just the faint barking of a dog 2 houses down. She looked at the house again, eyes scanning the porch, the paint color I'd refreshed, the new potted plants I'd placed by the door. For a split second, she looked almost sad. "Travis left," she said softly. "We're not together anymore." I nodded, unmoved. "Sorry to hear that." She glanced at me like she was waiting for the old Denise, the one who used to soften, used to fix everything for everyone, used to make excuses for people who never made any for her. But she didn't find her. "You always thought you were better than me," she said suddenly. "Even when you were sleeping in a shelter." "No," I replied. "I just never thought I was less than you." She flinched. Subtle, but I caught it. And then came the last card in her deck. "Think of the kids," she said. I set the groceries down on the porch. "I did," I said. "That's why I let you stay as long as you did. And that's why this house is now full of kids whose moms needed it more than you did." She opened her mouth, then closed it. Renee peeked through the window just then, a toddler on her hip. I gave her a little wave and she backed away politely, not prying. Lara followed my gaze. Her face twisted. "You really turned this into a flop house?" I turned to her, full on this time. My voice was low. Calm. "I turned it into what it always should have been. A home for people who don't have another option. You used it as a backdrop. A stage. I'm using it as a lifeline." She didn't respond. She looked around, maybe to see if anyone was watching. She was used to performing. Maybe she thought this would be another scene. But no one was filming. No comments. No likes. No followers. Just me. And her. I picked up the grocery bag again. "You can leave now," I said. She stood there for a moment too long. And then she did. After Lara left that afternoon, I expected I'd hear more from her. Another note. A tantrum. Some kind of long-winded post about betrayal and family and fake-sounding forgiveness. But nothing came. It was anticlimactic, in a way. Like waiting for thunder after lightning and hearing silence instead. But that was Lara's style. Loud when she had the stage. Quiet when the crowd started leaving. I poured myself a glass of water and sat down at the kitchen table, letting the quiet settle. Sonia's boys were outside drawing with sidewalk chalk, and Renee was upstairs on a video call for the online course she'd just started. The house didn't feel like mine alone anymore, and I liked that. It wasn't a museum to my childhood, or a symbol of someone else's curated life. It was alive. Still, something in me hadn't let go yet. Not entirely. It came to me while folding laundry that night. I still had the login. I don't know why she never changed the password to her old TikTok brand email account. Maybe she thought she had. Maybe Travis had set it up and forgot to hand it over. But when I went to clean out a box of old files weeks earlier, I found a slip of paper with her usual combo, her first dog's name and her birth year. I hadn't touched it. Not then. But now? Now I was curious. I logged in. All of it was still there, every draft, every brand deal agreement, every rejection from companies that had quietly pulled away once her image started to crumble. And dozens of unreleased videos. Takes that never made it to her feed. Most of them were harmless. But one caught my eye. It was labeled Untitled, Closet Reveal, Angry. I clicked play. There she was, in the luxury closet she'd built in my old bedroom, fuming. Makeup half done. Eyes sharp. People say I'm shallow. That I care too much about appearances. But you know what? Appearances matter. If you want to win in life, you have to look like you're winning. No one gives a damn about your sob story if you look like you just crawled out of a dumpster. Ask my sister. She paused to sip wine. She showed up to our parents' funeral looking like a drug addict. I couldn't even let my kids hug her. I don't care if she has problems. We all have problems. I just choose to rise above mine. She lets hers define her. She laughed. A little too hard. Like she was trying to convince herself. Then she turned the camera off. I sat there in stunned silence. That video had never been posted. But it had existed. And now it was mine. I stared at it for a while. Then I smiled. Not maliciously. Not gleefully. Just, with certainty. And the next day, I uploaded it. Not under her name. Not on her account. But on a new account I created under Closet Confessionals. Anonymous. No faces. No tags. Just the video. And then I added context in the caption. This woman turned her sister's old bedroom, while she was homeless, into a luxury closet and mocked her trauma for clout. This is how influencers really talk when the cameras stop. It went viral in 36 hours. Within a week, it had 2.3 million views. Someone recognized her voice. Others began piecing together details, old sponsored posts, the recognizable wallpaper she had custom ordered from a boutique home brand. Someone even pulled up an archived version of her viral closet video and spliced it side by side. The comparison was damning. Comment sections lit up like wildfire. This is disgusting. Unfollowing immediately. How do you mock your own sister's abuse? That poor woman, wherever she is, I hope she's thriving. She tried to deny it at first. Claimed the video was fake, edited. But the internet has a long memory, and people started unearthing old screenshots, quotes, even her passive-aggressive Q&As where she hinted at a sister who chose chaos. Her last brand deal pulled out within the week. The rest followed quickly after. And just like that, the online empire she built on authenticity and positivity collapsed under its own hypocrisy. She posted one last tearful video saying she was being bullied off the internet. Then she deleted everything. All of it. Gone. I never said a word. Never commented. Never responded. Never revealed it was me. She still doesn't know. But that's the best part of it. Because the revenge wasn't in the likes, or the views, or the callouts. It was in her own words, coming back to haunt her. She built her platform on my back. On the ruins of my trauma. She called me filthy while filming under the same ceiling I used to cry myself to sleep beneath. All I did was hold up the mirror. And she shattered. These days, I don't think about her much. The house is fully rented now, 3 tenants, all women rebuilding. I don't charge market rent. I keep the backyard open for the kids to play. There's a new swing set out there now, where Lara once filmed fall fashion hauls. Sometimes, I sit on the back step in the early evening and sip a cup of tea while listening to the distant buzz of the neighborhood, sprinklers hissing, kids yelling, birds settling into the trees. And I smile. Because I didn't just get my room back. I got my voice. My dignity. My peace. And she'll never get the spotlight again.